Hey, what's up, guys? It's Andrew Osentowski. I'm giving you my UFC 301 Pantoja versus Erceg predictions. It goes down Saturday, May 4th, 2024. Prelims begin at 6 p.m. Going down from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I went one-on-one on my UFC 300 bets. Lost on Jamal Hill, plus 115. Won on Max Holloway, I think, plus 164. So some slight profit on the night. We'll take it. Going into the first fight of this night, Ismail Bonfim against Vince Pichel. UFC's trying to get rid of Vince Pichel. He's 41 years old, hasn't fought in 2 years. I'm going to side with Bonfim by first round knockout. Mauricio Ruffy against Malarkey. I'm going to side with the newcomer Ruffy here. Again, Malarkey, he's had some wins in the UFC, but he's chinny. I believe he's kind of on the decline of his career, man. The guy's very chinny. You've seen the peak. He's fought too often. He's taken a lot of damage. I'm going to side with Ruffy. Carolina Kowalkiewicz against Lucindo. I'm going to side with Lucindo here. The younger fighter on a 2-fight winning streak. Kowalkiewicz, he's on a 4-fight winning streak. But, I mean, I think the UFC kind of wants to get her out of there, man. She's been floating around the UFC for probably 10 years now. Credit to her for turning her career around, but I'm going to side with Lucindo. Gene Silva against William Gomis. Gene Silva, first round finisher, guys. Again, it's nice, beating Weston Wilson. Not much to say there. He's not really an impressive fighter. He's getting knocked out in all his fights. William Gomis, he's on a 3-fight winning streak, and I'm going to side with Gomis here. If he, survives round 1, I just feel like he'll pick up the last 2 rounds. Elvis Brenner against Orolbai here. I'm going to side with Orolbai. Nice win over Uros Medic in his first UFC fight. Brenner's undefeated in the UFC as well, but I'm going to side with Orolbai here. Joanderson Brito against Jack Shore. I kind of feel like Jack Shore is almost a fraud, especially at 145. It's a big guy, 17-1, but just hasn't fought often enough, man. Brito, this guy's a finisher, man, and I think Brito will end up hurting Jack Shore on the feet and getting him out of there. Diana Barbosa against Ernesta Kareckaite. I'm going to side with Kareckaite here, man. It's a striker versus grappler matchup. Barbosa's a little older. Kareckaite's a little younger. I'm going to side with the Lithuanian fighter here. Costa against Borralho. I'm going to side with Costa, which should be an exciting men's flyweight fight here. Joaquin Silva against Drakkar Klose. I wouldn't trust either fighter here, man. I'm going to side with Klose, but again, man, I can just see this going either way. Can't trust either fighter. They're both, I don't know, irrelevant at men's lightweight. They're not going anywhere in the rankings, in the division. I'll side with Klose. Michelle Pereira against Ihor Pereira. It's a newly made fight. Very exciting fight between 2 up-and-coming men's middleweight fighters. Pereira, man, former light heavyweight. Now fighting at 185. Props to him. Both finishers, both knockout artists. I'm going to side with Pereira here, man. I'm not going to doubt this guy anymore. But again, I can see this fight going either way, but I'm going to side with Michelle Pereira here. Anthony Smith against Vitor Petrino. UFC's also trying to get rid of Anthony Smith, man. He's been floating around the UFC for a while. We've seen him reach the pinnacle. He's nowhere near the top. He's very chinny. He does not like to absorb any type of damage. Vitor Petrino, very lackluster fight against Tyson Pedro in his last outing. I will side with Petrino. Paul Craig against Kyle Borralho. Well, they're just gonna feed Paul Craig to up-and-coming fighters. Craig, he'll fight anybody. He fights often. Props to this guy, man. This guy he beat Magomed Ankalaev at light heavyweight, man. So, I mean, lost to Brendan Allen, no shame in that. Lost to Johnny Walker. But he's had some good wins too, man. He beat Jamal Hill, actually. Kyle Borralho, undefeated in the UFC. This guy just coming off a nice win over Abu Nurmagomedov. He's a finisher, can also win by decision. I'm going to side with Kyle Borralho here. Jonathan Martinez against Jose Aldo. Martinez has been on an absolute tear. Really turned his UFC career around. Very impressive. Going up against the king of Rio himself, Jose Aldo. God, I'm not going to go against Jose Aldo here. in Rio, in his hometown. 3-round fight. Don't have to worry about it going to 5 rounds. You have to think he's staying in shape. He's been boxing. I think he's got 1 fight left on his UFC contract. So what he does after this, I do not know. Whether he goes to boxing or maybe he does return to MMA, you know, for one-off fights. You know, maybe like the Jake Paul type stuff. Or boxing as Jake Paul or something like that. But I'm going to side with the King of Rio here, man. He's a very hard guy to look good against. Yeah, Merab Dvalishvili, you know, retired, you know, so-called retired Jose Aldo by beating him by decision up in, you know, high altitude Utah, which is just bizarre to have Jose Aldo fight in, you know, especially if you were looking for Merab to lose. It was just kind of weird. But I'm going to side with Aldo here. LA in the main event, Alexandre Pantoja against Steve Erceg. Credit to Pantoja, he's looked very good. Erceg's getting this fight because a lot of flyweights either just fought or just weren't really able to take the fight for whatever reason. They were booked. And Erceg, he's looked impressive, man. I am a fan of this guy getting a title shot like this because, you know what? He's available. He's looked good. He's hot. If he loses, he's still young enough to rebuild, man. He's still young. He's 28 years old, man. He can still get there. It's not this. The loss is not going to impair his career where he won't be able to sniff the title again. The flyweight division is kind of thin. So, but I'm going to side with Erceg here for the upset, man. I think he could possibly hurt Pantoja early and get Pantoja out of there. You're seeing Erceg at a plus 205. I think it's worth a shot, man. Yeah, I can see Pantoja just taking over in the later rounds, you know, especially if Erceg hasn't gone 5 rounds in a while. But he's 34. I think he's been hurt before on the feet. Lost to Askarov, lost to Figueiredo. But he's looked very good. He's beat Royval, Moreno, Perez, Royval, Cape. But again, man, all champions will eventually lose their belt or retire, man. I mean, it's just the way it goes, and anything can happen in mixed martial arts. Let's look at the stats. 68-inch reach, 68, 5'8" against 5'5", 34 against 28, man. I mean, it's just like we've seen it, man. We've seen it time and time again. I mean, we'll go back to Fabricio Verdum fighting Stipe Miocic in 2016. Verdum was the reigning champ. He was coming off that nice win over, what was it, Kane at the time. He fought Kane the previous summer and in Mexico City. And, you know, Miocic upset Verdum in the first round and made it look easy. And, I mean, we might very well see the same with Steve Erceg here, man. Like I said, beat David Dvorak by decision. Beat Alexandre Costa. Beat Match. These are all good wins, man. All good wins. And I thought Matt Schnell was looking decent on the feet for a little bit, but Erceg was just a little faster and hit a little harder. And but you know, he's got a lot of submission wins on his record, you know. So like I said, man, all champions will end up being defeated. Whether Erceg's the one to do it, I don't know. But we know Brandon Moreno. We don't know if he's, you know, he's stepping away. Royval, he looked good against his win over Moreno, but we've seen he's been no match for Pantoja. Cape, he hasn't made weight, and he's got a fight against Alex Perez, so that guy might be next. We'll take a look at the rankings here at Albazi. He hasn't fought since his win over Kai Kara. Kai Kara was injured. I don't know if he's fought since his loss to Albazi. Nicolau was going up against Perez. Mokaev was kind of unimpressive in his win over Perez. And we got Erceg down here. But I'm all for it, man. I'm glad Erceg's taking the opportunity, man. And I will not be surprised one bit if he gets the upset over Pantoja. So I will pick Erceg here as a plus 205 dog. So guys, my picks: Steve Erceg, Jose Aldo, Kyle Borralho, Vitor Petrino, Miguel Pereira, Drakkar Klose, Alexandre Costa, was it Ernesta? Kareckaite, Joe Anderson Brito, Orolbai, William Gomis, Lucindo, Ruffy, and Bonfim.